Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order. Welcome to HPANWO TV. Well, the 4th annual Great British Exopolitics Expo is over. After a quick brief weekend, back home. I'm just come back, just looking at the garden right now. Seems a long time since since Friday when it arrived, but been through a hell of a lot. And it's always difficult to leave and come home, and I've spoken about this before, but there's a massive come down after these events, especially the Probe conference, and I call it post-Probe blues. I suppose I should call this post-Expo blues. I think it's because, as I think I've explained before, you know, when you go to these events, the energy and the atmosphere is so different, it's so intense, and you know, your interactions with other people are so different to how they are normally with normal people, but the majority of which are not interested and not even willing to discuss these kind of subjects that the conference is about. You know, sometimes, you know, I find myself pinching myself thinking, you know, are there other people really taking this seriously? And of course there are. It's just, at the moment we're still few and far between, so when we meet these conferences, it's a few opportunities we get to meet face to face in this way, and and when you come back to your so-called normal life, your so-called reality, your normal life, like I got off the train, back home, got to go to work, got to do the shopping, stuff like that. It's quite a jolt. It's quite a culture shock, and this can be quite difficult to deal with, and I find it difficult to deal with. And I suppose the upside of that, the good side of that is, you know, if I hadn't enjoyed myself so much and it hadn't been such a good conference, I wouldn't feel this way. And I know, like as I said in when I went to in my Ben Goes on Tour film, my film about the Glastonbury Symposium in 2010, you know, it's not about escapism. We're not going to these events to escape. It's about bringing the events here. It's about, rather, you know, these little events are kind of like oases in the desert of conformist normal society, and you get this oasis of non-conformist alternative stuff, whatever conference it might be. Our goal is not to escape to the oasis. Our goal is to green the desert. As I said, I described it as bringing Glastonbury to the rest of the world in my Glastonbury film. However tough that is, I think, you know, we are in with a chance. It may seem like we've got a long way to go, but as I've said before, we hit that 100th monkey point. If you watch my film I did the other day about that 100th monkey thing, about the Battle of the Beanfield, that's what it was, I think it was in that one. Then from then on it's downhill. It's a very, very quick downhill. Now, yeah, I must admit, you know, I mean, I said a few quite heartfelt goodbyes to people, actually, and it was there, you know, I'm not going to pretend there wasn't a lot of poignance in what we were doing. And when we said goodbye to each other this morning and last night, you know, and we were clowning about a bit with the Nick Pope thing, you know, well, that might be in the outtakes, so keep watching. But you know, it's not easy to say goodbye to people. I mean, I think the main reason I enjoy the Exopolitics conference so much is because of a split within me, right? Because, I mean, I actually had to make some tough decisions this year because, for obvious reasons, I got a lot less money this year. I went to about 4 or 5 conferences last year. I could only afford to go to one this year. I mean, I don't count AMASH because AMASH is in Nottingham, so. And I chose this one. And I chose it because I think it's probably the best one. It's the most important. I think the UFO issue is the most important issue in the whole conspiratorial gamut, which is very, very eclectic and very, very holistic. But I think the UFO issue is probably the most crucial and most vital one. I think, but what fascinates me about Exopolitics is that as I said, I'm myself a split over the whole issue. I think this represents a schism within myself. What my logical self tells me is possible and what my emotional self wants to believe is possible. And this is to do with the disclosure. That is, the government's just coming up, holding their hands up and saying, okay, we admit it. UFOs are real. This is what the whole exopolitics movement is geared to. This is what Stephen Bassett, Stephen Greer, Richard Dolan, everyone else is geared towards this. About getting, signing petitions, writing to your MP, getting the government to hold their hands up and admit they were wrong. And as I've said in previous reports on previous conferences, I can't see how that could possibly happen. There are some secrets that are too big to be told. It's just, something like Watergate or the Iran-Contra scandal, they can hold an inquiry, they can get a fool guy, he can take the rap. Everyone knows the president was to blame really, but let's get this Oliver North and make him look like a fool. It doesn't matter because it's not, selling arms to dealing with Iran, selling arms to the Contras. It's not the end of the world. But this is an enormous. The implications. It's more than enormous. The implications of this secret are impossible to even calculate. And I don't think Richard Dolan and Bryce Zabel. I've read their book and I do enjoy their book, AD. I don't think they quite understand the scale of what they're dealing with. And I satirise this a bit in my film about Obama when I pretend to be the president announcing it. Are they going to really say they kept this sat on this for how long now? Almost 70 years, maybe longer? Are they going to say, yeah, we knew about it all along, but we forgot to tell you? Sorry? Sorry? A secret of this scale? With the implications, it's the free energy stuff as well, the implications of the free energy technology, the implications that we are not the only planet with intelligent life in the universe, or even this universe is not alone and there are other universes. It's to keep that kind of secret is, to admit you kept that secret is beyond confession. Which is why I think it's not possible. I think a disclosure is going to be us, free human beings, walking into an empty Area 51 when whoever's guarding it's just buggered off, and we break open the door to the cellar. That's disclosure. But my emotional side just finds the whole concept so appealing, so tantalising. I just want so badly for it to be true. And if only I could be wrong. But I don't think I am. But I can't, this vision that they've created, these people have created, I can't turn away from it. I can't put it down. And that's why I love this whole thing so much. Well, it just remains for me to say thank you to all the speakers. They brought up a lot of subjects. Saturday was devoted much to the animal mutilation affair, a very, very serious and very, very disturbing issue, but it's one of the most important because it's the most manifest, the most widespread, the most well recorded and documented. Thanks to Grant Cameron for coming all the way from Canada, for Natasha Achimowicz for doing her first ever speech, for David Griffin for his Falklands conflict insight, which is completely new on me and very interesting. Thanks to Andrew Johnson for stirring up a bit of controversy and getting us thinking and getting us wary, because we have to be wary of people in an alternative movement just like we do with people in the mainstream. Thanks to Alan Foster for giving us a bit of hope. Thanks to Gary Heseltine for his meticulous and highly, highly professional research project into Rendlesham Forest. If Gary doesn't convince you it's real, then go and have a pint of beer with Chris French, because you're one of him. Have I left anyone out? I don't think I have. If I have, I'm sorry. But thanks to I.M. and Tracy and everyone else who did the coffee and the sandwiches. That's a lovely thing there. Thanks to everyone who manned the stalls. And thanks most of all to Anthony and Rachel Beckett for all the work they put into us. They've worked really hard on this. They really believe in it and they really do an excellent job. I mean, I wouldn't have the first clue how to do what they've done or have the ability to carry it out, and I take my hat off to them both. And thank you to you, HPANWO TV viewers, for watching this reportage. Disclosure City People, a reportage on the 4th Annual Great British Exopolitics Expo. There'll be more to come on future events. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, stop the New World Order.